Do y'all know your girl was a good 10 minutes in and the video recording decided to stop? So we gonna try this again. Cause I got time today. So we gonna do this again. Y'all, welcome back to day 19 of Sweet November, 30 days of Manna. Y'all, can y'all believe we are on day 19? I mean, I actually can believe it, but it's just like the time is kind of going by real fast, and I don't know. I don't like it. But anyway, we are here, y'all. Day 19. If you are just tuning in for the very first time, make sure you stay and listen and be blessed and get your gems, get your pieces, get your whatever it is you're going to get from this. You're going to take away something. I can tell you that for sure. Get what you need to get and go back and check out the rest of the videos as well. Make sure you subscribe, okay? And share this with somebody. And for those that have been rocking with me, those that have been going on, each day, like you all have been joining me for the sweetest month of November, and you all have been declaring your 30 days of manna. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your comments. Just thank you for showing your support. And so I am not going to hold you. We are going to get into day 19 because, this thing acting real funny and I don't really like that. But anyway, we're going to get into it, okay? So the title, because y'all know I need a title, right? Well, I don't need one, but I like a good title, right? And it's actually a verse. Joshua 3:5 says, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things amongst you. Let me say it again for the people in the back or the people that didn't hear it. Or the ones that just want to hear it again like me. Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things amongst you and amongst me, amongst us, right? And so what does consecrate mean? It means to make or declare something sacred. Consecrate, your synonyms for consecrate: bless, hallow, and that's HALLOW. Set apart, purified, sacrifice. And when it comes to sacred, the synonyms for sacred is holy, blessed, revered, worthy of awe and respect. Awe and respect. And so we know on yesterday we talked about you all being right at the edge and the cusp of your promises. All of us being right there in front of our promises. We also talked about the divine helpers that are coming back to go before us on our behalf before we officially get into the promises, the promised land that God has deemed ours, the ones that he said that, the things that he said that we are going to have, right? And so one of the things before we get there, right? God is talking in Joshua and he's telling Joshua to tell your people that they need to consecrate themselves because I am getting ready to do something unheard of. I am getting ready to do something phenomenal. I am getting ready to do something extraordinary, something greater than we could ever imagine in our wildest dreams. He is going to perform this act. And before God does an act such as those things, there's something that he requires of you, and that's for you to consecrate yourself. And so of course I'm like, okay, he's telling Joshua to tell the remnant that are going into this promised land to consecrate themselves. I said, well, did the Israelites have to consecrate themselves? Well, you better believe it, because when I go back to Exodus chapter 13, it starts off with God telling Moses to tell the Israelites that they would have to consecrate their firstborn, in human firstborn, and the firstborn of the animals as well. And this is right before God does the miraculous, the divine act of parting the Red Sea on their behalf and then swallowing up their enemies, okay? And so here we are, fast forward to Joshua, to the generation that are going into the promises. Here we are, fast forward to 2023, where you and I, all of us, are getting ready to cross over into what God has for us. And all he is asking is that we consecrate ourselves, that we make a sacrifice unto him before we go into the promises that he has for us, because they are going to be so great, so huge, so big, that it is going to cause awe, and it's also going to cause respect. And it's going to cause respect not only for you, of course it's going to be for God as well, but it's also going to be for you. And people are going to know that it is God that is with you. People are going to know that it is the hand of God that is upon your life. When you think about the Israelites, I don't mean to point at y'all like that, but you know. Anyway, when you think about the Israelites when they were in the wilderness, and they, despite all the things they did, I can name it, but we can probably name some things that I've done and that you've done along the way too. But we don't want to do that right now, okay? We want to stay focused. But the Israelites, they did some things. But despite that, God kept his word. And the people heard about God's hand upon their life. The people heard about the great acts that he was doing. The people heard, let's be very clear, the people heard how God was wiping these other people out on their behalf. He killed how many people in the Red Sea? We're talking astronomical, okay? We're talking major figures. We are talking like 100 of thousands of people that were wiped out on the Israelites' behalf. And that was just with one great act. But we know as you go through Exodus and Numbers, there are other great acts that God does, okay? So much so that we was just talking about, was it Balaam or Balak? He was trying to get the sorcerer to curse the people because he didn't want them coming into the land. That was another thing. And it did not work because they can't, like the enemy can't curse, or the people that work for the enemy, the imps, your enemies, mine, they cannot curse what God has blessed, right? It will never work. It'll only work if you give in and if you sin and you leave a doorway open. But other than that, it would never work. And so not only that, what about the Amorites when they came against them? Like, it's all throughout their journey. And like I said, the news has spread. People knew about the Israelites, God's chosen people, and God's hand upon their life way before they even reach them, or to their land, or near them. And these people were shaking in their boots, y'all. They were scared. All right? They were afraid. They were fearful, and rightfully so. The same way it should be for anybody that's trying to play with y'all, because y'all are God's children. We are God's children. And it just, it don't end well. Yeah. It doesn't end well to do that. And so I say all of that to say, y'all, that it's no different for you. You are crossing over, and God is going to do such great and miraculous things on your behalf that is pretty much going to be jaw-dropping, and people are going to be like, what? Like, then it's going to be a situation where people only know it could have been God. It couldn't have been anybody else but the hand of God that is on your life, God's favor that is upon your life. They will know, okay? And so consecrate, and that may look different for everybody, right? And so this leads me into just an example of somebody that also consecrated that you all are probably very familiar with. And so that is from Daniel. I know y'all know. So Daniel, we know that Daniel, and of course we'll refer to his friends as the Hebrew boys just for the sake of not having to get tongue-tied on these names. But Daniel and his 3 friends, right? And so they were on a consecration. They had been taken from their land, and they were now with the king and Nebuchadnezzar, if I'm not mistaken. That's who they were with. Yes, they were. And so the king was giving everybody, all of these young men that were going to be working for him, he was giving them like free reign. Like, you can have wine, you can have everything that we eat. And Daniel and the Hebrew boys like, nah, like, we ain't doing that. We just gonna stick to vegetables, and we gonna stick to water and watch God work. And so I'm not gonna go into the whole thing. I want y'all to go back and read it for yourself. It's Daniel 1. And you probably want to keep going just to find out everything that happens. But long story short, they are consecrating themselves. They're not necessarily on a fast because they're still eating. But they're on a consecration where they are not giving in into what the king wants them to do, but they are adhering to what probably their customs and their standards were back then, and not giving in. And so they just decided, look, we just gonna eat these vegetables and drink this water, and God, watch and see, we'll be healthier than the men that are partaking in whatever the king is giving them. And sure enough, even after 10 days, Daniel and the Hebrew boys, they were deemed healthier than all of the men. They were also deemed stronger than all of the other men. And not only that, because we talked about the great acts that comes right before. We talked about the great acts that comes right after you consecrate yourselves. And God gave them the wisdom and understanding of all literature and language. And he also gave Daniel the understanding of all visions and dreams. And this is from consecrating himself. And so God didn't split the Red Sea, but you better believe this is a great act of God to have an understanding. It says of all. It doesn't say of just certain or particular things. Daniel had the understanding of all literature and learning, all in its totality. Daniel had the understanding of all visions and dreams. And so you better believe that is a divine act. You better believe that that is a great act from God, because right after that is when Daniel is needed by the king to start interpreting what these dreams mean. And it put him in a great position. And not only did it put him in a great position, but it also put his friends in a great position, because they were right along with him as well. Do you all get what I am trying to say here? Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow God will do amazing things amongst you. Don't take my word for it. Read Joshua 3:5 and then go on to the next couple of chapters to see what God does, if you want to get ahead of what we are talking about on today. And so the reasoning for the consecration, when I'm reading in the Bible, like, why does God, I know he's going to do these great acts, but why is he requesting this of us? Why is he requesting that we do a sacred act, that we sacrifice something? And like I said, this may not, you have to get with God. What does he want you to consecrate? What does he want you to set yourself apart from? That could be various things, okay? If it's a fast, then you know the fast is going to be you abstaining from food and drink for certain periods of time, okay? You get with God and he'll tell you exactly what you need to do. If it is not a fast, it may be a consecration. And if you're wondering, okay, like, what's the difference? Well, the fast, like I said, you're abstaining from food and drink for a certain period of time, but the consecration is you may still be eating just like Daniel and the Hebrew boys, but you're only eating certain things. They only ate vegetables and drank water, which is not abstaining from food and drink. It's just abstaining from certain things. It's setting themselves apart. And that's what they did. They did not eat what the other men were eating. What does that mean? Setting themselves apart. Consecration. So you need to ask God, what does that look like for you? Okay? It could come in various forms, and it may not be the same for everybody. So I won't say one specific thing. This is just an example of how you need to partner with God and ask him what it is that you need to consecrate yourself from before he performs the great acts that he is going to do in your life. What sacrifice do you need to make to God before he does what it is that he's going to do? Okay? Get with him. And so just going back really quickly, what I was going to say prior to that was, why are they doing these sacrifices? Why are they doing these consecrations? And so God wants to make sure when you enter into what he has given you, into the promises, he wants to make sure that you are going in with a pure heart. Okay. And what is the best way to do that? To set yourself apart from the things that could be a distraction, to pull yourself away from the things that may be taking your attention away from God. Okay. That's just my example. And so when we look at these things, I wanted to look into, well, what does pure mean? What does it mean to have a pure heart? It means to be uncontaminated. How do you become contaminated? By being around certain people, being around certain things. And if you're setting yourself apart, which is your consecration, then you are setting you're literally preparing yourself to go into whatever that God has for you in the promises. So it's uncontaminated, where these are the synonyms for pure: uncontaminated, process, and refine. Y'all know that we have talked about that as well, because the wilderness period overall has processed us, it has refined us, it has pruned us, it has shaped and molded us into the people that God wanted us to be before we went into the promises. Okay, because he doesn't want us to lose sight, one, of who gave us the promises, the person that got us there, and the person that's going to get us there. And all three of those answers is God, God, and God. Okay. And so it also means to be solid. Okay. Solid, unmovable, unshakable, and steadfast in God's word and who he is. You have to be that. He doesn't want you to be caught up when you get into the promises that he has for you. It also means 100%. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know pure, the definition that I looked up, had 100%, to be 100% with God, to be straight, to be real, and to be true. The acts that God is going to perform in your life, the amazing acts that it says that God is going to perform in your life, people will know it was God and God alone. Okay? It's not going to be, oh no, because tort. No, it is going to be God and God alone. That is how huge these things are that God is going to do in our lives. Okay? I'm telling you, God and God alone. Y'all, I have verse 15 up here highlighted. So I'm going to go into verse 15. We are at Joshua 3, verse 15. Now the Jordan is at the flood stage all during harvest. Yet as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. Again, this is right after God told Joshua to tell the people to consecrate themselves, for the Lord is going to do great acts amongst them on tomorrow. This is tomorrow. This is the act that God promised them from them consecrating themselves. Okay, he is now drying up the same way he did with the Red Sea. He is drying up the Jordan, and there is a reason why they mention this. Listen to this again, verse 15, Joshua 3. Now the Jordan is at the flood stage all during harvest. Is letting you know that this is not typical. There is no way that the ground could be dry. There is emphasis on this because it's letting you know that this is during the time where it's in the flood stage, because the harvest is here, and the harvest is here all, like, it's during this period. So it's in the flood stage. So this would be what? Consider unusual. The act that God is going to do in your life is going to look very unusual. It is not going to be typical. It is going to be uncommon. It is going to be abnormal. It is going to be surprising. Surprise. It's going to be surprising, not only to you, but to those that are around you. That is how big God is going to move in your life. It is going to be different. It's going to be odd. It's going to be extraordinary. It's going to be unorthodox, okay? It's going to be unconventional, something that someone couldn't even think about, especially when it comes to you or related to you. They would never put you in this thing or these things that God is going to do in your life. They would never put them together, okay? And it is rare and irregular. We know that God is not regular. Anything that God does baby, let me tell you, it's not going to be regular. If it was going to be regular, he just let anybody do it, okay? Anybody can do regular. Anybody can do ordinary. But not when it comes to God, y'all. Again, consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing acts amongst you, amongst me, amongst us, amongst those that are tuned in to God, those that have been going through their wilderness period and they are now prepared to cross over into the secure. Remember, we talked about that. The manna is to sustain you. The word is to secure you. You are now secured and prepared and consecrated, anointed, and ready to cross over. Get with God. See what he wants you to do. Do it, and do it well. Don't do it grumbling and mumbling and complaining. Do whatever it is he asks you to do. And that's the same for me, because I'm going to be honest, y'all. I'm just going to be honest. When it has come here lately with the fasting, it has not been the easiest thing. So we'll see what it is that he wants me to do. Like I said, it may not be the same for everybody, but seek him and see what it is that he wants you to do before he takes you into the promises. Know that it is for your good. Everything that God asks you to do is always for your good. It's never to set you up. It's never to hurt you. It's never to harm you. It's never to trick you. But it is all for your good, and it is going to be worth it. It is going to be beyond worth it, y'all. This is day 19, sweet November. 30 days of manna, y'all. We are here. We are literally right here at the Jordan. We are going on dry ground into the promises that God has for us, and we are ready to do so. Share this video with someone you love that needs to hear it. As always, be blessed, be encouraged, and make sure y'all come back tomorrow. Don't forget to decree Monday. Mondays are good. They are phenomenal. They are great, and they have to obey your command. Bye.